We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. All right, good morning. Welcome to this, I think this is Tuesday. I believe this is Tuesday from the palatial Central Florida studios. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Stephen Willis, and we're going to talk all about Ole Miss, and we're going to have some fun doing it. But first, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. They are available at 1-800-330-7461. Again, that is 1-800-330-7461. Basically, why I'm doing this is I want to give you an avenue for vacations because everybody needs a vacation right now. You've been cooped up for a year. Everybody's trying to get out of the house, trying to figure out how to do something, what to do. Well, Travel and Cruise World is basically a local that knows the Central Florida landscape like no other. So if you're going to Disney, if you're going to the beach, if you're going anywhere in Florida, these guys will tell you what's going on. Because corporations and everything else, masks could be available here. Like you have to wear a mask at Disney indoors. You do not at Universal at the moment. So little things like that, they can help you out with. That's travelandcruiseworld.com, travelandcruiseworld.com. Also, if you want to watch the podcast, you can check it out on Twitter. The link will be there that you click on. You can see the new way that we're doing it. We're starting to use the Ole Positively address. So you can go to @Ole Positively to watch the podcast, the POMcast or whatever's on. We did the Beast of the East last night. That was the first one like that. But you can see how we're going to link them and how we're going to do them moving forward. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. We're on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. Subscribers have jumped way up. Thank you very much for that. And, you'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about if you hit the bell. So do that as well. So please. We're also on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss. If audio is more your bag, we're available as a podcast on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. We are also on smaller podcatchers, but if we were to name them all, it'd take up the whole 30-minute show. So we apologize for that, but thank you for listening indeed. So today I want to go over the landscape of the National Recruiting Service and what that means. I spent nearly a decade at Rivals. I know a little bit about the players that are involved in these, and we talked about it a little bit on Beast of the East, but I kind of want to dig into it again because it's a different audience for the both of them. And also we're going to start our look-aheads, our pre-fall camp look-aheads at the season, and we'll start with the first three games of Louisville, Austin Peay, and Tulane. So that should be a lot of fun. All of those are on television. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if the Austin Peay is on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus or just ESPN Plus. So week one, we need to pay attention to who the ESPN Plus, SEC Network. Time we've done this, it could be confusing. I've seen it on both. So it might not affect you at all. It might lead you to the ESPN Plus service. Remember, ESPN Plus is a part of the new television deal to where we give a game. So I think the SEC Network Plus is going away because ESPN wants to monetize that as much as they can. And ostensibly, it's the return of the pay-per-view game. But it's only going to cost you about $6 a month, and there's other stuff on there. So it's going to be behind a paywall, if it does that. But we need to find out. We need to get to that first weekend around Labor Day and see exactly how they do that. I'll be really curious about that. So, On3 Media is launching, I think the official launch date is like the 15th. And right now they're starting to put their ducks in a row and announcing team sites and name, image, and likeness groups, because they're going to do a lot of sports business stuff too, because that's relevant now, and also going to handle recruiting and all that. So here's a little background. Shannon Terry basically created the Rivals brand as we know it. It was around before it. There was believe it or not, there was a Rivals.net over in England that did soccer for a little bit while. But that was back whenever Border Wars was a thing, and Scout and Rivals were kind of together before the split. And the split happened, and Rivals and Scout were formed. So Shannon Terry and his crew did the Rivals angle. The other Scout angle, I've never worked for Scout. I don't know many people that did, so they did their angle. So that kept going, and some point in time, a couple of years later, probably 2006, 2007, that time frame, ESPN decided they wanted to get into the team site game and do recruiting. And that didn't last very long, and that failed. And so it was Scout and Rivals again. Now, sometime around 2008, 2009, I don't know exactly the date because it's been so long ago, Shannon sold Rivals to Yahoo. And his non-compete agreement was for like 3 years, but after that 3 years was up, he created 24/7 Sports. So you had Rivals, Scout, and 24/7, 3 on the marketplace, and the new brand of 24/7, it was an actual competent run organization who had done this before. So that was going to stress and put stress on the market. Now, I'm not saying anything about team sites on this thing. Nothing about that. I'm just talking about the national hub of that. So Rivals.com, Scout.com, 247.com. Those are the ones. Nothing really about team sites, because team sites find a way. Because after Scout went out of business, because they were the wounded gazelle the last time we went through this, Ole Miss Spirit moved over to 24/7. So if you're a good team site, you're going to find a home to continue being a team site. That's fine. That's kind of irrelevant. But Rivals went through a period after the Yahoo sell that about 7 out of 9 years it was downward trending. You'd find out that there was a new CEO at Yahoo about every 30 days, and there was stuff going on. And I tell you that to tell you this. The market has shown over and over and over again that it can only sustain 2 recruiting services. Now that On3 Media is coming on board, that is going to put stress onto what can be considered as the weak gazelle of the group. From the outside looking in, that looks like Rivals. The original Shannon Terry production, and the other one they're competing against was his last production. This man has owned recruiting like no other. He basically set forth and did a 20-year niche and was able to sell 2 products to national brands, because he sold Yahoo, Rivals, and 24/7 went to CBS. And now they're starting again. So you can see it as on3.com what they're doing. They're doing some neat stuff. Ivan Mazel is there now. And there seems to be a pretty consistent plan in how to execute with what they're doing. And that should scare the heck out of everybody involved on the other side, because he knows how to execute. He knows how to make this work. And he is probably going to grow up to be the giant. Now, if I'm going to make predictions of what's going to happen, I think Rivals is going to go the way of Scout. I just think it is. Things are going to start paying attention to names and voices doing things that they didn't used to do, where they're consolidating and trying to provide the mirage of doing more content. Try and pay attention to what they're doing. Whenever Rivals started putting just straight journalists with not football guys over their ranking system, that was a major red flag and a problem. And that was about 2010, 2011, that time frame. That's a major red flag. I mean, you're writing for the sports page at the Palm Beach Post, and now all of a sudden you're supposed to be some sort of a evaluator of talent. And that's the reason the camp series came into place. That's the whole reason behind the Rivals Camp Series and the 5-Star Challenge and everything, is because you could use analytical data to rank players, because you can't trust your eyes. You don't have the knowledge base to do that, but you can look at a piece of paper and say, oh, this kid ran a 4.43 and this other kid ran a 4.51. Let's rank this kid higher. So it's an analytical thing. So I would pay attention to what's going on. This is not really going to affect you much in any way. Last time, whenever Scout went away, if you were subscribed to the Spirit, it got rolled over to your new account at 24/7. It didn't affect you really at all. All you had to do is learn how to use new bells and whistles and things like that. But talking about the nuts and bolts of the national hub of what's going on, I have questions. I have concerns. I think this could go really sideways for one of the three, and this market has shown over and over again that it can only support two. Anytime a third one comes up, somebody goes away. Either the startup itself or the weakest of the competitors. So keep that in mind. Enjoy this On3 product. It looks really cool. 24/7 looks really cool. I see, the problem is, even though I worked for like a decade at Rivals, I can't tell you what it looks like now, because I go to 24/7, because Shannon Terry is that good. That's how he can execute. Again, this isn't about team sites. If you're even Ole Miss Spirit went together with Rebels 24/7, and that became the singular recruiting brand in Ole Miss football, or Ole Miss sports. So I just wanted to let you guys know, if you didn't, to be little bells and whistles that they're going to do. They invented it like the crystal ball. So expect some flexibility, expect some innovation from these guys. And competition is always good for the marketplace, and they should be welcomed in. But it's going to be interesting to see. I'm curious about it. Also, I want to tell you, the T-shirts are going away. I was thinking about it today, and I started to get a little nostalgic about it. Sometime in mid-August, we're moving to a polo uniform, and we're willing to do that. And so we're in a position where the T-shirts are going away. A kind of a uniform is coming in. We've rebuilt all the shows. A uniform's coming in. By football season, we should be an official capacity show, really unlike anything else on YouTube. It's going to be really great, because it's fun. I enjoy doing this. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to look at the first 3 games of the season, talk about a little bit about expectations and how they could propel. All right, welcome back. Went to black for a second. I was doing something else real quick. Sorry about that. I do want to tell you about our little partnership that we're setting up with One Team Media. That was one of our major announcements last week, and how to do whatever we want outside of that. We also have a partnership with the Believe Podcast Network, and it's all part of our no competition motto that we have at Ole Miss, or Positively Ole Miss, to where all perspectives are welcome. It helps you to keep from making that circle so small to where information is corrupt. Now you can see what's going on outside, and that's why we have podcasts with Corey Burton and Craig Ladd into the fold. And I'm probably looking at doing a gambling show on that nice Thursday night slot that you guys notice that nothing is there at the moment. Now, there's an opportunity for others to come in and shows to be produced, because I'm willing to produce your show. That's what I'm willing to do, because that's going to help the overall jump up rapidly. I mean, we're gaining a ton of subscribers right now on YouTube since we've moved away from our Twitter stream to our YouTube stream, but we're gaining a ton of views doing that. So I do want to thank everybody for watching, for everybody for participating, but that is a partnership with One Team Media. If you can go to oneteammedia.com, you can see kind of what they're politic-based people that are kind of coming together and doing their own thing, but also bringing in and having a bigger tent to help you guys out. It's a really exciting time when it comes to the media and you guys. When I say media, I mean the podcast media. I do not mean the standard brick and mortar type we don't need to get into that. But anyway, if you look down there, there's a nice little preview with Cameron Teague. Probably going to have him on sometime in August again. He's going to talk a little bit more about that game. We just want to wait a little bit closer. But, to get an idea, there's going to be the return of several Ole Miss related people to play Ole Miss. So it should be cool, like Gunnar Brewer and B. Brown. I think Jack Bicknell maybe is there. Now, what I'm looking for from this game is I want the defense to kind of start showing identity. I want them to, they don't have to look like they did against Alabama bad, but I want them to build on the Indiana game defensively. Offensively, I want them to proceed as normal, and I want to see Matt Corral without Elijah Moore again. I know we saw it against LSU. I know we saw it against Indiana in the Outback Bowl. But I want to see another game, another data point without Elijah Moore. Because that LSU game, Matt Corral absolutely struggled rewatching that with the loss of Elijah Moore. His number one target, his safety blanket, wasn't there. So who was going to step up and be that guy? Everybody assumed in that game Jonathan Mingo was going to be that guy, but it turned out to be Dontario Drummond. And that continued into the Outback Bowl, and he threw for 350 yards or something, and that was with no Jerry and Ely, no Elijah Moore, no Kenny Yeboah. Everybody was opting out, and you still was able to move the ball, not necessarily at will, but you were able to get it done, even at the tight end position. In fact, that Indiana game, I watched that the other day, and it provided a good look of the future of the Ole Miss program. That was the game where John Rice played slot receiver to replace Elijah Moore. Chase Rogers playing tight end. He actually did a fantastic job. Casey Kelly playing tight end. It could have been fairly special if he wouldn't have hurt himself right after the Outback Bowl. He went skiing, hurt himself. I hope everything's right, but we're looking at 8 months at this point. So I don't know if that's going to be really right. I mean, I look at ACL injuries as a 15-month process. Now, you can be structurally fine at 6 or 5 months or whatever it is. But still, there's a strength, there's an element to it, and it seems to always take 15 months. So even Nick Chubb, whenever he got hurt against Tennessee and came back the next year, he still put up good numbers, but he didn't put up Nick Chubb numbers. And then now all of a sudden it's just building, gets it all back, and he's all good to go. So I'm looking forward to seeing the offense function without Elijah Moore, without Kenny Yeboah. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see how they use Jerry and Ely. I want to see where John Rice Plumlee lines up. There is going to be a situation to where they can alternate slots, and in the backfield, it's basically two offensive weapons that you can line up all over the place. It's going to be pretty cool. You're going to see John Rice get the handoff in the backfield, and I think it's going to be really cool. That Louisville game is very important for the season. You can't drop that game and accomplish what we want to accomplish. If you drop that game, you're looking at 7-5, 8-4. Where if you win that game, you're looking at 8-4, 9-3. So you need to pick up that game. And I think Louisville's predicted 6th in their division. Malik Cunningham is a great player. He really is. He's kind of like Lamar Jackson light. And with our defensive back and Jacob Springer and Otis Reese and Tysheem Johnson, I could see a spy develop where multiple defensive backs come on the field and Tysheem is that spy. And it could look a lot like Mike Hilton did against Johnny Manziel back in his freshman year. So I'm looking forward to that game. That's a very important game. It's a game that we should win. I think Ole Miss is an 8-point favorite right now, and I imagine it's only going to go up. But I'm looking forward to see fall camp and where the wide receiver room shakes out. Braylon Brown, those guys, J.J. Henry. How are they going to show up and play on game day? I'm really looking forward to see what they can do. The next, something happened, but that game is important for reps, for depth, the building of Lane Kiffin's program that we did not have last year. That'll be the first game where Ole Miss should be able to just, in the whole fourth quarter, put in the young guys. Braylon Brown out wide, J.J. Henry in the slot, Brandon Buckhalter at the other wide receiver, Kentrell Bullock playing tailback. And these are all people that could use those reps to propel themselves later in the season. So it's important during that Austin Peay game that we need to play well. We need to, score a bunch. Our defense needs to show up because now he's not a great player. He's not ever doing, but Austin Peay does have the reigning freshman of the year or something like that in the Ohio Valley. Maybe it's just he won freshman of the week multiple times. Who knows? But he's a good little quarterback. You can see him. That's what I'm looking for in that game, is just basically just build some depth. Find a guy. And sometimes in games like that, you can do something and do things well enough that propels you to the point where all of a sudden against Alabama, you're going to get some reps. They're going to throw you to the Wolves the next week and see how you can do. Sink or swim, because you made plays against Austin Peay they didn't think you can make. Let's see if you can do it against Alabama. You might only get 5 snaps during the game, but if you can maximize those 5 snaps, it's a very, very good thing. So that's what I'm looking forward to in Austin Peay. Now, Tulane precedes an off week. Our off week is right before Alabama this year, and that's fine because that allows us to draw up all kinds of fun stuff for the Crimson Tide and everything. But the main thing about Tulane is don't get hurt. I'm just here to protect yourself whenever you're not going full speed. So with that in mind, there is the off week for Alabama to get well, but I want to see the team start to click. This should be the gel game. To where you start to see what Ole Miss's offense can be and what Ole Miss's defense can be, and where he starts to take shape. It's not just something completely new and there's not enough sample rate and all that. This is going to be an important game because Tulane's a good team. They genuinely are. I mean, Will Hall has moved to Southern Miss, and that might cause them to look a little different. But little Willie Frist is a good football coach. So if Ole Miss comes through and does what they need to do, they should be 3-0 going into Alabama. So we're going to go on our first 3 games. Louisville, W. I think that game could be a 2-touchdown win. I think there's a little bit of excitement that is going to propel these guys through. Austin Peay, that's a big win with a lot of backups getting to play. And Tulane, I think it's going to be a close game. Could be a 1-touchdown game. Something to keep an eye on. But Ole Miss starts off the season 3-0. Now we're going to basically end the show there. We're going to do that. Tomorrow we will talk road games. And this is pretty much a critical part of our schedule because after this it gets a little bit more sustainable. But if it's going to be a special year, it'll happen right then because you have to go 2-1 in that stretch. So anyway, I'm going to give you a little bit of time back. Thank you very much for watching and listening if you're over on the podcast. Please tune in tonight for the Best of the West with Kevin Bohannon and Jake Thomas, where they talk about Western Division football. Maybe we can get the opinion from Arkansas from Kevin tonight. And, of course, tomorrow at 10 o'clock. It only makes us stronger. It only makes us better. So the more you take that split second to hit retweet or like, the more that is going to help us down the road and the more we're going to be able to do. So thank you very much. And, of course, hotty toddy.